This video is completely free of spoilers, but every manga reader as well as the anime onlys can and should watch this video, as we explain the unexplained. Gray's true magic is similar to Vanessa's fate-changing thread magic.
We believe and will prove that Gray actually has such a thing as reality-changing magic and just doesn't understand her real magic yet, which she thinks is transformation magic. Start with one of the first times we saw Gray using her magic in a serious combat situation. Gashi and Gray were captured by one of the Eye of the Midnight Sun members in the underwater temple. The only way to break free was to wake up Charmy, who was sleeping behind the enemy. To do this, Gashi asked Gray to transform the stone next to Charmy so that it looked like a piece of meat, only to tell Charmy that someone was trying to steal her food. The plan works and Charmy defeated the enemy. When Charmy then tried to enjoy her beloved food, she bit into stone instead, and the piece of meat, which then shows its true appearance, was nothing but a stone. This is the first real piece of information we received about Gray's magic. She can make things look different based on her desires, just as she apparently does with her own look. Gray changes her look because she doesn't want to look like her real self. But when Gashi complimented her, Gray suddenly began to revert to her real appearance and said it was because she was out of mana. But if that were true, she would have turned back the moment she had to use the last drop of mana. But what really happened was that Gashi's compliment gave her a little confidence and made her want Gashi to see her for who she really is. We see that her self-confidence has a lot to do with her magic. This will be clear in a flashback. We'll get to that in a moment. Her magic, which we believe has something to do with changing reality based on the true wish. This has caused her to transform into a real appearance after Gashi's compliment, without her directly wanting it to. Since that day, she had never changed into that ugly, tall, grey person anymore. Maybe a couple of times in the anime as a joke for a brief moment, but in the long term, she preferred to be herself, or at least as one of the Black Bulls, as she felt more comfortable that way. But not the ugly person she used as the main form at the time. This is not because she doesn't like herself or doesn't want others to see her, but rather because of her complexes that trace back to her family home when she was bullied by her two step siblings about her looks. This backstory is a reference to the story of Cinderella. The same thing happened to Cinderella also happened to Gray. The stepmother married her father died, and Gray was left alone with her family who treated her like trash, forcing her to clean the house and obey all their wishes. One day, Gray was cleaning up the floor again when her mother basically tossed a dirty bucket full of ash and told her to clean up the mess. Her stepsisters then laughed at her and said, "Look at yourself, covered in ash. Dirty little thing. That's perfect. You will be able to hide your humiliating self. We're only ashes from now." And that's exactly what she did. She called herself Gray like the color of the ashes. She literally took the identity of what her step-siblings made her believe, an ugly-looking person named Gray, as we see in the form she was introduced the first time. In fact, this scene was misinterpreted in the anime and it seemed like Gray is her real name. But in the manga, the sisters did not mention Gray's name, and her character profile shows that Gray is not her real name. Before talking about the identity of Gray, she tried one last time to befriend her step-siblings by transforming into the looks of her sisters, and thus trying to be the third wheel. But the step-siblings felt offended and believed that Gray was mocking them, and that their faces were given exclusively to them by their mother. And that's pretty interesting, as it looks like they believe that Gray actually marked them when she transformed herself into them. They said that they were given the face, which means that the marking is not directly related to the face itself, but the fact that Grey has transformed into this pretty girl. Since her step-siblings may not really look like that and have gone through a lot of transformations themselves given by their mother, of course, this could also be meant genetically, but we noticed that the face of the step-siblings look very similar to the face of Kathleen from the Witch Forest and the member of the Eye of the Midnight Sun who was defeated by Yuno. Kathleen has ash magic and the curse ability to make herself younger, which shows that she cares a lot about how she looks. Now, I'm not saying that this necessarily means that Kathleen is the mother or one of the sisters of Grey, but it is very noticeable that the faces and the hair are quite similar, and the way Kathleen cared so much about how she looks resembles a lot to what was important in Grey's stepfamily's home. Many in the fandom believe that Grey's mother is related to witches, and that would suit Kathleen again. But that's just an interesting side note to remember for future events, in case Grey turns out to be actually somehow related to witches or her step-family. This would also explain why Vanessa apparently recognized Grey's magic.
Vanessa was amazed to see this kind of spell, and as we know, Vanessa was very close to the Witch Queen and knows all kind of ancient and powerful witch magic, having received one of the most powerful magic in the world herself. Let's keep this in mind and get on with Grey's magic. In the fight against Sally and her slime salamander, Grey showed her magic ability again. But this time, not only the appearance of the slime could be changed, but the elementary structure of the slime itself, which changed its basic element water to a complete different element. She turned slime into diamond, the basic element earth. This is no longer transformation magic, but is already transitioning into the reality changing type of magic. But it is still too far-fetched to say that Grey can actually change reality. We can assume she's capable of transmutation similar to that in alchemy, taking one element and turning it into another. Not quite like alchemy, but in a very similar way. What we know so far is that Grey is able to change the way she looks. In contrast to other transformation users such as Julius and Rill, Grey can not only transform herself, but also other things like the rock in the underwater temple. But here, only the shape of the object, not the actual elementary structure, and thus the element itself. As we just explained, she can turn elements into other elements like she did with the salamander. And here, some believe that she can only do this with magic elements created by human mana, but if this would be the case, she would not be able to transform other things such as the rock, and in particular, she would not be able to dissolve the stone sword which Dante pressed together with gravity. Although Dante formed this sword with gravity magic, the stone element was not made by human mana. And at this moment we really have the confirmation that Grey's magic goes beyond that of simple transformation magic. The moment Gosh was stabbed, Grey wanted nothing more than save him because she's really in love with him. She wished the stone sword had never hit him and that he didn't have this wound that threatens his life right now. And then it happened. The sword began to dissolve and the place of the wound is not only began to heal or close, but began to take on its original uninjured state. That was not healing magic, nor was it transformation or transmutation, but something completely different. When people are normally healed like Asta, the wounds also show signs of scars regardless of the healing method used. But in this case, not only did Grey close the wound or heal the injury, she made it like it never happened. No healer in the world, not even the Witch Queen, can cause such a healing process. The only one who has a similar ability is Julius, as he turned time back, so that his injury never happened. But Grey obviously has no time magic, and yet she can still perform this type of recovery. And this unique type of magic was confirmed by Dante, as Dante stated that Grey is actually a magic knight with Arcane level. Transformation magic is clearly not an arcane level, and actually just a sub-magic that people like Julius can use with time magic or will with painting magic. Considering that Grey is actually arcane, and that transformation magic is only a spell but not an actual magical attribute, it is safe to say that Grey's magic is not transformation magic. Given what we have explained so far and how Vanessa reacted to Grey's magic, it can be said that Grey's magic is very powerful and most likely can change reality the way she wants it to be. Very similar to Vanessa's fate-changing threat magic. Since such a magic as Vanessa's already exists, it is not unlikely that Grey's magic can change reality, especially since Vanessa is also arcane stage and both magic appear to be somewhat similar. Ordinary healers and mages with transformation magic are not arcane stage. Grey's magic goes beyond what we have seen and understood so far, but I believe the change in reality is very close to her actual ability. Let us know in the comments below what you think about our theory, and if you think we are wrong, let us know what you think about her true magic. What is her true magic and how can she use it in the future? Why is she arcane and so on? If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, it will help us to reach a wider audience. We are planning a lot of videos this week, so subscribe to our channel. If you have not yet activated the notification bell, please do so, otherwise YouTube will not notify you of our latest videos. Thanks for watching and see you tomorrow. Bye.
I love my niggas to death. We ain't shit without our own boys. The only thing a nigga got left.